Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela, and I found a tarot spread I wanted to do. It is in my tarot calendar that I've had sitting here that I really haven't looked at in a couple months. But it's the tarot calendar I bought at the beginning of the year. I just so happened to look at this month. I hadn't changed it since like July. I just so happened to look at October, and we got the Trick or Treat Tarot, Seven of Cups from the Trick or Treat Tarot, and I'm like, I have that deck, which is this deck. It also has a spread in here called The Story You Tell, and it says, we tell stories because we need to understand our lives. Some stories serve us better than others. Some become part of a repeated, unhealthy cycle. These stories control our behavior, yet never lead to a happy ending. If you identify a story like this in your life, this spread can help you understand it and even change it. And I just thought that was super interesting. Super interesting to kick off kind of the darker part of the year. If you're like me, I do like a lot of soul work and stuff like that in the end of the year. And I just thought this deck would kind of transition me over into, that story that, we all have a story we tell the world, whether it's to save face or to not let anyone know our real story. I feel like I've told my real story so many times that it's lost its validity. Because there was a while there, I was on my soapbox. I'm like, everybody needs to know the rage, the horror I went through. And everybody's story is legit, and everybody should tell their story. But I think there's sometimes now when I'll tell something about something that happened to me when I was younger, and people just kind of roll their eyes like, oh, of course, we're back to this. And so I just thought I'd be curious. I was curious to see what this spread would come up with. So yeah. And so I did the spread. I actually did a meditation and sat here and pulled cards, cleared the space and all that. So let's get into this. So card 1 is the story, an important aspect of the story. And that would be this card here. An important aspect of the story is the Chariot, which is my soul card, incidentally, which is crazy. I've not looked at these cards, so that's insane. I heard self. An important aspect of the story is self, myself. Interesting. So number 2, why you created this story. What purpose does it serve? And that actually is down here. The Emperor. Wow. I heard knowledge is power. And that makes complete sense to me because I had a lot of demons and I grew up and I've told you guys this many times, it's like a broken record. I grew up in a very abusive home. I grew up terrified to let anybody know that I had been beat daily, that there were things in my life that I know other people would not have been able to handle. It took a lot of strength to overcome what I was going through. And for a long time there, and that's probably why I stopped being friends with my ex-friend, is because for a very long time, I felt like the world owed me everything. And I didn't feel like I had to do anything to get the respect or the credit for overcoming these horrible odds. And I finally one day woke up and grew up and realized, no, nobody owes me anything. I still got to work for what I want. I still need to do the work. I still need to put in the time. And I actually put in the time and the work to overcome a lot of those demons. And it took many, many, many years. And then the reason I think is why my friend and I stopped speaking is because she had similar demons and was at the stage I had previously been where the world owed her everything, even me. I owed her something. And I'm like, I don't owe you anything. You're taking everything I can give you. And it became too much work. It became work. Instead of helping a friend in need, it became a job, a chore. And I think, yes, knowledge is power. To a degree, it's healthy to get your story out there, but don't dwell on it. Don't act as if everybody in the world owes you something because this person did something to you 30 years ago. So yeah, that's quite fitting. Quite fitting. Wow. And that's the purpose it serves is letting others know you're not alone, but at the same time, don't beat a dead horse. So you have to move on from this stuck energy, you know what I mean? Because for a long time I was stuck in that specific energy of, oh, everybody owes me something because of the trauma I went through. No, nobody owes you anything. You have to learn to move past that trauma or you'll never get your life back or even start your life, if that makes any sense. Okay, I've rambled on that enough. Card 3. Imagined ending. What you think should or wish would happen in this story. And it's the Tower. And that is a little petty, because, I immediately thought, their world will crumble. And I can tell you right now, if you're a genuine person, and you've done absolutely nothing wrong to someone else who's wronged you, karma will find them every time. You don't have to lift a finger. Because karma is a bitch. Karma always gets its due. Always. Okay, so I had a different friend. When I first moved here, I met my husband. I wound up getting pregnant right after we met. She had started partying again and doing drugs and all this stuff behind my back. I had no idea. I had my son and I was still living with her. And she was my roommate. She called the state on me. Said that I left my son by himself and horrible things, right? And I was doing none of those things. I was being a good mom. I was coming home, trying to work and be a mom and do all these things and living with this person that had fallen off the wagon, so to speak, which I never knew she was on the wagon to begin with. So there was a whole thing that came out. But some bad, and I wound up moving out after that because I'm like, oh, she's toxic. She's going to, wind up getting me in jail for no reason. Anyway, long story short, the state was like, this is ridiculous. We're dropping charges, blah, blah, blah. It was a whole thing. And literally within 6 months, some very, very bad things happened to her. And that's my point is imagine ending what you think should or wish happened in this story. There's also, and it's funny because she's also a person in my dream. The last time I dreamed of my ex, they were together in a dream and I'm like, okay, they're perfect for each other, but why do they get to be happy? And it took me another long time after healing all these things to really realize, karma is going to get them. I wish them, in order for me to grow, I wish them nothing but happiness, because if I continue to wish them ill will, it's just going to come back to me, especially now that I've started my spiritual journey and realized manifestation is a huge thing. And it's real, whether you believe it or not. Manifesting is real. And I am a very avid manifester, regardless if I say I do or not, I am or not. I manifest things without even trying. And a lot of times, if it's in a negative headspace, it'll be something negative. And I'm like, but why? Why is this happening to me? And then I'm like, oh, because of this happened. Because you have to be careful when you manifest things without even knowing you're manifesting. You have to be careful what you put out there. Words are gold. When you put it out there into the ether, it will come back to you. Again, karma's a bitch. She always gets hers. And so I have learned to wish these people that did wrong by me nothing but the best, because if I wish them ill, that's going to come back to me. Now I did hear when I flipped the tower over, deep down inside, everybody wishes everybody would get theirs. And they're lying if they say they don't. It's just human nature. But I've had to learn to overcome that. So just the fact that the Tower card popped up is my wish that they get what they deserve. But at the same time, I've had to learn to look past that in order for my own self-worth and self-growth, if that makes any sense. Card 4. Wow, these are deep. The reality, how the story really plays out in your life. The Page of Wands. How the story really plays out in your life. I see him with the fake fire here. Super cute. Super cute. Again, with this vocalization, this let it roar, let it out. Take action, take a stance. Turn this into a good story. Turn all these negatives into something that you can shout from the rooftops, that you can build on. Like maybe, I always saw myself at some point doing like a conference for, not a conference, but like a speech for people that are at risk or that just feel like they have no one. This to me represents that Page of Wand energy where you turn that horribleness into something positive and be there for other people. Be there for somebody else who is at their darkest moments. Because you've been there, you recognize it, you take it in. And that's what I was kind of trying to do with my friend, that we split 5 years ago now. But know that there's a point where they have to help themselves too. But I see this Page of Wands as a change in the winds, a change in the storyline to be able to voice that opinion. And I actually wrote a book. It's on Amazon. Shameless plug. Sorry. It is Memoirs of a Birth Mother. It is the time in my life where I was alone. It was the worst times of my life. I was pregnant with my daughter. I wound up giving her up for adoption. It was a whole thing. I actually have a playlist where I read each chapter a week on my channel. But just the few people that book has reached, they were like, oh my God, this is like a book on what to look for in a man, what not to look for in a man, the warning signs of somebody that's abusive. There were so many takeaways from that book. And I felt like that was my Page of Wands, taking that action, putting in a positive spin, letting other people know you're not alone. And that is my entire goal of even doing the book at all. After a few people were like, why isn't this a book? And I'm like, why isn't this a book? Because I started it out as a blog. But everybody has a story to tell. And here's just my reminder. Don't beat a dead horse. Use it positively. Use it in a positive way. So anyway, number 5, change the story. How to change the story to achieve the desired ending. So that's this one. How to change the story. The 6 of Pentacles. And that comes back to manifesting, this planting the seeds, this, he looks so sad here. Maybe he's scared. Oh, wow. I just thought of that. And I actually was thinking about this earlier today because everybody that's ever read anything I've written has been like, why aren't you in the bestseller list? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? Why aren't you out there more? Why isn't, because they say I'm a great writer. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just relaying what other people have said because as a writer, I'm one of those that I'm forever suffering. I will never be good enough. I'm that kind of writer that nothing I ever write will be good enough for anybody to read ever. It just so happened that the Memoirs of a Birth Mother was also very cathartic for me. So I had to get it out. I had to send it out. I had to publish it. I had to get that out of me, to be able to heal that part of me. And it helped that my daughter and I reconnected when she became an adult. I'm now a grandmother because of her, and there's a difference now than there was then. So that has helped a lot with the healing and everything of the trauma I went through with her father and all this other stuff. And I'm losing track of thought here. Change of the story. How to change the story to achieve the desired ending. The Six of Pentacles is, again, planting those seeds, manifesting your desires. So if you think positive, and it's just like with the mediumship stuff, and it always comes back to mediumships for me. If you think negative thoughts, if you are in a negative vibe, you're going to attract negative spirits. If you're in a higher vibration, if you're in a higher mindset, you're going to attract higher beings. And I feel the same way with this specific card in this deck. It all depends on you, or me in this case, me and my ability to manifest the desired effect. So I can totally manifest this if I choose to, or I can manifest this if I choose to. Not if I choose to, just whatever mindset. And the Chariot being the beginning of that is all based on me and myself and my thought process, and getting over the you'll never be good enough and this is never going to happen for you. And that's always been the chip on my shoulder. I can always say, I used to say to my mother, my mother's always on my shoulder, that little devil that says, you'll never be good enough. You'll never be able to amount to this. You'll never be able to do this. You're never going to, you're never going to, you're never going to. And so I'm constantly, 47 years old now, constantly trying to overcome that mindset. Constantly. It always creeps up. It'll always be there. But it will always continue to try to creep in and let me know you're never going to be, you're never going to be, you're never going to be. And I have to constantly remind myself, but you are, but you've done it. And just like I was like, I'm never going to be able to be a writer, blah, blah, blah. I have 2 books on Amazon. Like, I self-publish them. And yes, I do get sales on occasion. Not like I wanted. But again, I'm reminding myself, to me, it's about quality, not quantity. I published this book not to make money on it. I published it so somebody else out there going through one of the darkest moments in their life can read my book and come across my book and go, oh my God, somebody else has been through this exact thing and they survived it. So maybe I can too. And that was my whole point of writing that book. It was my whole point of even ever wanting to be a writer, was to tell that story that changes others. It changes others' mindset. It changes others' thought process of, I'm not alone in this. Because when I was in that space, I was alone. And I didn't think anybody else was ever going through anything like I went through, ever. And nobody ever does when they're in the thick of things, in the thick of the darkest moments of their life. They never think that. So I just think that's very interesting that is what's playing out here in these cards. And this very sweet looking Trick or Treat tarot that's not so sweet. So anyway, that is my spread. That was deep, y'all. Like, super deep. And I'm going to take a, right here, just lay it out here. If y'all want to take a picture of it, that's the whole spread right there. The story you tell, and then the little blurb above, and then the questions here. If you want to take a picture and do it yourself, that is for the Trick or Treat tarot spread from the calendar. I'm going to read you what, because it was the 7 of Cups in this card. So it says, having so many options can feel wonderful. However, this card indicates that not all the choices are good for you. You may be distracted by some fake glamour that stops you from seeing boring old reality. And that's cute. I love the 7 of Cups in this deck. Beautiful. So that's my spread, you guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And I did want to show you, there's the bags. And then I did edge it in this dark green because that's my favorite color. But I love it. Love it! Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later.